Welcome back to Breakfast Daily on City TV. Now we're going to be getting into some community interest stories and stories that are making news.
Yeah.
Our first trip will take us to the Bono region, and it looks as though, we can never really stop talking about the plight of cocoa farmers.
Never.
It always comes up. It's a perennial issue. And when you think about the fact that cocoa is probably one of our biggest forex earners and biggest exports, it's a shame that the people who are actually cultivating this continue to have challenges. Now, this has to do with cocoa roads, which of course enables farmers to transport their cocoa. Michael Sapong Mfum, our Bono regional correspondent, brings us this report.
The Mesu cocoa growing area in the Sunyani East municipality of the Bono region annually produces about 6,000 bags of cocoa. There are currently 800 registered cocoa farmers with Mesu Cocoa Cooperative. One major challenge confronting these farmers is the state of the road linking Atroni and the Mesu enclave. The road is narrow, bumpy and slippery, and makes it more trouble for the farmers to cut their beans to Atroni to be weighed. With the onset of the rains, it is becoming extremely difficult for the farmers to ply the road. Some of the farmers have been speaking to City Business News on the issue.
Si sabre ye kwan a ye fa so no enye first no na ka yetumi to condemn kura de spray kwan yi free ohia soma wo ha saa e de koduru Atroni kurom a na ya to condemn akuafo no de spray kwan no ese kwan na ginsam yentumi nye ho hwe enti no kwasem ne se ye ho kire yen kan se bridge bi a ewo asuo takuru asu no so no bridge na sei na nsem bi na enua ba ko bi sapon ode ahokeka baaye na yedi nnua kakra bi e de sam suo no
ya how bibiri wo ye kware no because me be 20 years ni ya ba ye ku adwuma no ama ye chia problem bibiri kware no de because MP ba ha be kan se wo be boy no ane ye o ma ha biem am yaw betena ha ka kire se obe ba betwa kwan no so no ane ye to aba no ma no won si ha biem nti kwan ne de wa obe wa hu adwuma ye wo fam fu wo ha bibiri.
Chairman of the Mesu Cocoa Cooperative, Daniel Asenso Kakari, wants the Sunyani East Municipal Assembly to reshape their road to lessen their burden.
Na ye hawo pa ne ye kwan ne nye kura enti se ye tie koko no ne hatama no wo a ne ye pese ye de kɔ kurumu a ye ntimi fa nkɔ ye bre ti buo ha je se bi di sisi bicycle so na bi aso bi na ye di bi so agu moto ye tie ya na ye nya motoki ne di bi agum enso kura motoki no duru abi a nsuo no taa wo ntimi ma je se motofo ne yi ne be soa kakra de akɔ eti makoko no esei dodo no timi sei wa ha pa nti ye hawo kase pa ye kwan no ha ye pa ye wo ka kire asamre se ye srew mo emesufo meboa ye kwan no na ye kwan na sei kura nti ama mfudie bebre aka koko no titiri koko no aka adwuma ye se ye di ahoden ye se ye di no wo ba wi atwe koko no be ko ba wi no wo ba kura ntimi nya adwuma biem wabre.
Cocoa farmers at Mesu within the Atroni enclave of the Sunyani municipality are urging the municipal assembly to reshape their feeder road for them to enable them cut their beans to Atroni.
I mean, the challenge never seems to go away, and it's not like it's a new thing. It's the same old poor roads from cocoa farms to town centers or business centers. This case we're looking at is in the Bono region, Mesu to be precise, and so we're going to go over the phone lines and speak to the assembly member, not for Mesu but for Atroni, because these farmers farm in Mesu but then they go to weigh their cocoa in Atroni. And so the assembly member joins us via telephone, Mr. Anthony Ejay. Good morning, sir. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Grateful that you could join us. I hope you're well.
By the grace, I'm doing well.
Awesome. I'd like to find out, first of all, what's the distance from Mesu to Atroni?
The distance from Mesu to Atroni will be about 4 kilometers or something less than that.
Right, and how much of this 4 or less is good? Because from the pictures we are seeing, the roads are very bad and the farmers have a lot of difficulty carting their produce from the farms to Atroni.
Yes, they deserve complaining. It is so. The road is very deplorable. Especially there is a bridge that is on the river Mesu, which is close to the Atroni community. The bridge is damaged long time ago. At first, timber contractors were maintaining it, but today, because the timber species is finished, within the secondary forest, they are no more working there. So it is true that the farmers have a big challenge in transporting their cocoa from their various farms to the marketing center.
Now,
Now,
has this come to the attention of the assembly, and has there been any attempts at all to do some work on this road?
yes, in connection with the maintenance of this road, I remember when I was the assemblyman in the year 2024 to 2010, I took the engineer of the feeder roads at the Brown of Origin some time ago to the area. We surveyed everything, and the assurance was that they will be coming to reconstruct the road and construct the bridge as well, build the bridge as well. But unfortunately, I left office at 2010, and the engineer that came also left for transfer. The problem was all those who came after that didn't follow the construction of it. They just left it. So when I assumed office, just 2019 December, I revisited them again, and fortunately, some of the rules, that is farming rules there, has been awarded on contract. But unfortunately, to Mesu Road, that the engineer visited there with me wasn't part of it. At the moment, about 10 to 12 kilometers road is being re-gravelled. They are doing serious work on it. But what is left is Mesu Road and 2 others. Fortunately, the engineer claimed that he was not in the known that there was existing road there. They took it to be a virgin road. And it was the first time that he was hearing it as I was reporting to him. So what happened was that he has asked that we will revisit the area again. He sent his engineer to survey 2 other roads at different areas, not Mesu. But as for Mesu, we are yet to sit and find a day that he will come and see the road so that he added to what he has surveyed already. So my people at Mesu, they deserve reporting, but I am fighting all from my strength to get the road reconstructed for them. So what they are also exercising patience, they need to also add their voice to the fight that I'm pursuing, so that when there is victory, they will also take part and enjoy.
Right, is it that it's just a handful of farmers, say about 2 or 3 there, because clearly it looks like they've been neglected. Give us a picture of the cocoa farming business in the Mesu area.
Actually, at Mesu, we have a lot of cocoa farmers there, including my father.
Right.
His farm is very large, and all those who are farming there have larger cocoa farms. If I can guess, I think in the year round, about 1,000 to 1,500 bags of cocoa are being harvested at the area. And with this, in fact, they pose a big challenge in conveying it to the Atroni cocoa buying center.
Right.
Besides this cocoa, they also produce foodstuffs, plantain, banana, cocoyam, and what have you, including vegetables. The people there are seriously farming, and their yield is also supporting them. But the problem is how to carry it to the market, as they are alleging. Yes. So if I I am to draw a picture. That is what I can say.
Well, the road, from what you have said so far, I believe has been in this state or even gotten worse since 2004.
Yes. The problem was the transfer of the engineers. You see, when the man went there in and around 2004, thereabout, with me, and I followed. When I left office as the office of the assembly member, the man also went on transfer.
Okay.
I remember his name. He was called Mr. Anai.
And since he went on transfer, the new engineer did not go to the site.
The new engineer came when I was not at the office. I was in the assemblyman by then.
And whoever succeeded you did also not make any attempts to get this road
fixed. That was what I saw. They didn't follow it. So it was not known to the new engineer that his boss or his officer has done this.
Right. Now that you're back in office, I want to find out if you're having difficulty getting the assembly to move onto this road and have it fixed. Since it's a cocoa farming area, have you made any attempts to get Cocoa Board to step in? Because we know that Cocoa Board roads leading to cocoa farms in certain cocoa growing areas.
I did not hear you right.
I'm asking that if you're having difficulty getting the assembly to fix this road, since this is a road leading to and from a cocoa growing area, have you made any attempts to get, say, Cocoa Board to step in and help fix this road?
Actually, I know it is the assembly through the feeder routes that are responsible for this. You see, we had a project called Cocoa Route, and all this are initiated by feeder routes.
Right.
So I am still liaising with the engineer at the feeder route. I haven't been to Cocoa Board for this matter. I have not informed them officially.
Right. But then the challenge persists, and so perhaps you would want to look at other options to have this road fixed. I'm saying that the challenge persists, so perhaps you'd want to look at other options to have the road fixed.
Actually, the options are there. You see, we can, as a farmers, do something little to help fixing the road pending the award of contract in case the engineer sends his proposals to the head office. But the problem is, even if farmers contribute something small for that, there is a bridge on the Mesu River, and the contributions can't do it because constructing a bridge, you just imagine farmers getting something small from their farm. If they decide to contribute, I don't think what they would take out can construct a bridge because the Mesu River is a little bigger and it has some stretches. The bank, we need to refill part of it to raise the road.
Right.
We even construct the river and it raised. When the river is flooded, it will by all means take away all what they will be doing. So it is the government intervention that can support or can fix the road once and for all for us.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Anthony Ajay, and we wish you all the best.
You are welcome.
Right. Anthony Ajay is the assembly member for Atrunie in the Bunu region, where farmers are having difficulty cutting their produce to the market or even to have them weighed due to the poor nature of roads leading to and from their farms. I mean, sometimes I get tired of going over these same
especially
stories.
as a news journalist. You report on this over and over again.
And the powers that be will give you the same assurances and go to sleep afterwards.
I mean, and these are essentially, should we even call them peasant farmers? The little bit that they're going to get from the cocoa, they can't even get that because the roads are so bad. You know, recently we saw a report that the farmers are only getting about 6% of the final price that the cocoa is sold for. About 6%.
And we keep crying about value addition to our raw materials. If the thing is ready and it cannot move from the farm, I have no option than to just dry it and find a way of just getting it to be weighed and sold off. I'm having challenges conveying from the farm. I do not have the strength, even the peace of mind to think about adding value to it. And that's where the challenge is. I mean, the little stuff as fixing the roads to the farms. Yeah. I mean, come on.
It's tragic. We can't boast of being a top cocoa producing nation when the situation is like this for the people who are actually growing the crop. It's not right. And, so we've dealt with cocoa. Yep. Now we're going to another major export commodity and the issues with that as well. Now, this is something that people actually call white gold because the value of shea butter and the shea nuts and shea nut trees is so great. We export so much of it to Europe, to China. Yeah. It's used in manufacturing cosmetics. And we know the cosmetics industry is huge. It's used in confectionery. It's used in, food production. So many uses for this one nut. Yeah. And people are cutting down the trees that produce the nuts.
Oh, Lord.
I don't know whether to laugh or cry because it's so preposterous. A shea nut tree doesn't bear fruit until after about 15 or 20 years. So imagine if you plant a shea nut tree today, by the time you even get something out of it, a couple of decades have passed. It takes a long time. Yeah. You cut down a shea nut tree, or several of them, thousands of them, you're killing a whole industry.
That's true.
But that's what's happening. All right, so our Savannah regional correspondent, Richard Fogo, also brings us a report on this. Stakeholders are bemoaning the destruction of shea nut trees in the northern parts of the country. Let's take a look at this.
The shea tree has many uses, both economic and environmental, for the people of the northern, northeast, upper east, upper west, and Savannah regions, and Ghana as a whole. The economic importance of the shea tree cannot be overemphasized in the face of the unsustainable world market price for cocoa and the need to find suitable substitutes for cocoa in the confectionery and cocoa butter industry. In addition to its traditional uses, the shea tree also has a great untapped capacity for producing copious amounts of sap that can constitute an important source of raw material for the gum and rubber industries. It is estimated that about 9.4 million shea trees are in Ghana, and these can potentially yield 100 tons of shea nuts worth about $100 million per year. Women are responsible for major parts in the shea value chain. They pick, process, and sometimes sell shea products. Many women in northern Ghana arguably depend on shea for their income. Dr. Julius Yabua is an agronomist with the Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana.
If you look at the tree population, it's shea and cashew. And we know what we get from shea, the butter. That's the main component we get from the shea. And now, because of the demand for shea butter for chocolate manufacturing, if we have shea trees around, I'm sure it will help immensely, especially the poor woman who has no work doing. Most of the women are not working. But when the shea trees are over there, they can pick some. We have women group who pick and they are paid for picking. There are women group who also do the processing. So the groups, every group will get something to do. And it looks economically viable. Because unlike cashew that is planted by individuals, shea grows in the wild. So if I have these trees in the wild, it's a plantation, parkland. Any woman can go in and pick something for herself and family.
Unfortunately, the tree has come under threat in recent years. While some farmers kill the trees to farm, others fell them for charcoal production. This farmer in Larabanga has killed over 80 shea trees in preparation to plant. Our team also discovered heaps of shea trees prepared for production of charcoal in the outskirts of Boli. We estimate that about 200 trees have been felled by this producer alone. Jaksale Development Organization has been at the forefront of the fight against logging in the Savannah region. Its executive director, Jeremiah Sedu, regrets the development.
Like Bupeura said the last time, if it takes money from charcoal again, it's haram. If Boleura stops it, if Boleura says he's not going to do it, if the DCE says they won't take charcoal, revenue from charcoal any longer, any charcoal that comes out, they stop it, they take it, they distribute it, they give it to schools, they give it to widows, they distribute and give it to people to use it for free. I'm not sure the Doma machine owner will come in and do it again. This is Doma cat. This is not hacksaw. If it were normal axe, then you know that it's a poor person who wants to do it and make a living. This is charcoal being produced to be sent for export.
Meanwhile, government and other agencies have been promoting the planting of shea in Ghana. Dr. Julius Yabua wants government to do more in this regard.
Crop, when we move to the next, you see the cylinder we are preparing for tree crop. They are there. But we need the push for the grafting. It's highly technical. Cashew grafting is far easier than shea. Shea is difficult, and it's timely. You can't graft shea anytime. You have the time you have to graft. So when we have that time, you have to push more people to graft. When the time passes, when we graft, they die. So if it's then we begin to give out grafted seedlings, every community, maybe you take 10, 20 and plant. They themselves will see the growth, and nobody will even tell them demand for get a nursery and begin to learn how to graft.
Very worrying, very disturbing. I mean, if you go up north, these trees grow freely in the wild.
Yeah.
But we're having people that are cutting it. And if you saw from that report, the gentleman in there passionately lamenting the nature in which these trees are being felled. And we heard him there complaining that you can tell by the nature of the cut that this actually is a Doma cut. That means this is somebody that has enough money to procure a machine to go into the bush to fell these trees.
And
Just like he was saying, if it was a normal axe cut, then you could tell that this is just an individual and it's not an organization or it's not like a really planned or well-structured something. But these are deliberate attempts by people with purchasing power going in there, destroying our share trees to produce what? Charcoal for export.
Which means it's not like it's a secret.
No.
They must be known to somebody of authority or influence.
Yes.
And well, we'll get into the planting of trees discussion a bit, but we have Jeremiah Seidu, who's the executive director of Jack Sally Development Organization, to join the discussion on this. Good morning, Jeremiah.
Good morning, CCTV.
Yes, thank you for joining us on Breakfast Daily.
Thank you for reaching out to us.
Great. Okay, Jeremiah, just tell us a little bit about what Jack Sally Development Organization is and what you do.
Thank you for this opportunity, CCTV. Jack Sally Development Organization is a national-based organization that has been in existence for the last 22 years. We do three main key things. One, we are the voice for the voiceless. We are hope for the hopeless. And we are the faith for the faithless. These three key things, hope, voice, faith, carries us to do most of our activities in community development, women empowerment, social protection, children protection, and bringing people on the same level. We believe every human being lives by dignity, and every human being lives life normal. So we don't discriminate among human beings. So we want everybody to live life and live it in abundance. So basically, this is what Jack Sally is into.
Okay. So tell us about the relationship you have with women in the northern parts of the country who produce shea butter, and why this issue of shea butter trees being cut down is such a grievous one.
The relationship I have with women that produce shea butter is that me myself, I've been a beneficiary of shea nuts and shea butter. I took shea nuts before, I processed shea nuts into shea butter, and I sold that, I ate that, and I live on that before I got to school. Then I have also been a member of one of the initiators and the dreamers of Shea Network Ghana that was formed some 20 years back, and that gave birth to a Global Share Alliance program that is currently being run in 56 countries. Share Network has over, 300 members in terms of organizations and individuals. I have been a part of share development because it is not just a resource, but it is a life-giving commodity. It's a life-giving tree for the people of northern Ghana, not just northern region, for the people of northern Ghana. If you take the savanna ecology from Tetekratis to Hamile, from Tache to Bunkrugu, everybody in that area depends on share. Share gives out. It's a herbal, crop or plant. It gives income to households. It brings, food on table, and it's also a cocoa butter, substitute, an equivalent of a cocoa butter. If you want cocoa butter to do something and you can't find it, shea butter is an equivalent of cocoa butter. Mm-hmm. So it is something that runs through every house, every home, every person in the country and in the northern Ghana. My interest in share is because primarily it empowers women. Okay. Primarily it supports women, and primarily it brings women's income onto the system.
Now, Jeremiah, yes, as you've outlined the significance, the importance of share to our entire country, and even, what it does for us as an export product, right? So why is it that it seems as though there isn't the effort we would expect being made to protect share trees? We know that there are a few efforts to try to clamp down on those who are felling the trees, but shouldn't there be more of a concerted effort, a national effort, to make sure that these trees are protected, and not only protected but replenished, and we keep planting these trees, especially since there's such a long period of time before a share tree bears fruit?
Yes, that is true, but there are a few main factors, 3 major factors. One is that the share tree produces quality charcoal. And not just only quality, but also quantity charcoal. And charcoal currently is being exported by Ghana. I think as a rosewood, charcoal is the next one. You can quote me. Charcoal is being exported to the UAE for hard currency. So the charcoal production now is not done by the rural woman, the share women, and the rural community women. It is being done by national bodies, bigger players. Government is involved. If I say government is involved, for them to export charcoal, they get a permit, and the permit is given by government. So that is number one. Number two, the traditional authorities are virtually living on the proceeds they get from charcoal in the area. Number three, the decentralized system, the district assembly. You can quote me, none of the DCs in the northern savanna ecology will like me, because if we stop charcoal completely from production, a lot of them cannot run on their daily basis. All they get their income from their IGF is from charcoal. The next one is that it has become a livelihood. There are no livelihoods for people. So we are not asking that this should not go on, but we are asking that of share totally and completely stop. But we cannot do that because the government is involved, and like I told you, share trees produces the best, the highest quantity, and the greatest quality of charcoal.
Okay.
So those are the key issues. So we need, government intervention through the local government system and the traditional authority. For example, in Savannah region, I'm using Savannah region for example. Savannah region has so vast land that they can continue to produce charcoal. They can even do share plantations specifically for charcoal. But for the share trees that are already, fruiting, this share tree you saw on our video with your reporter from Savannah region, the farmer was telling us that they are the highest yielding share trees in that area. But somebody just went in with a dormer machine. That is not for a poor person. To even own a dormer machine, you need to be in a certain class. And the way they were cut, the way they were packed, the way they were hit, almost about 200 share trees in that area were burned down. So for me, that cannot happen without the knowledge of the traditional authority. Where the dormer machine was cutting is not far from the town. if the traditional authorities are not taking revenue from it, they will not allow it work on. I don't take revenue from it, but I know that we can stop that. We can provide land. We can support people, even if they want to plant. Cocoa research is raising a lot of people. If share produces good charcoal, why don't we do share plantations, and trim them, plant them so that we can use them for charcoal? We're not doing.
Oh, all right, Jeremiah, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. It's an interesting suggestion you've made, and we actually do appreciate you joining us on Breakfast Daily. You've given us some food for thought and couched the issue in a way that really takes it beyond, just the issue of felling trees, but the bigger issue of revenue generated and charcoal production. So thank you again for joining us. Jeremiah Seidu, he's the Executive Director of Jaksali Development Organization, and he's been talking to us about what he perceives to be the issues surrounding the sheer ecology and what we could do to kind of mitigate what's going on with the felling of shea trees. Very interesting.
Very interesting. I think, because he's identified a problem and then he's preferring solutions as well. Yeah. So if indeed it is charcoal you want to use the shea for, since you claim it produces the best charcoal, then go into shea production.
That's it.
Have a plantation specifically for charcoal production.
That is it.
And stop.
And then you forbid people from cutting the trees in the wild.
Exactly. Because these have taken years to grow. They are near fruiting or are already fruiting.
Yes.
And then you go cut them down.
Charlie, affecting the whole ecosystem. All right. Well, the person in charge of the Savannah region, perhaps he can also shed some light on this issue and what government is doing. Because the allegations that Jeremiah made, that government indeed is involved.
If there's going to be an export, you need a permit. You need a government agency that gives the permit.
Exactly. So let's find out from the Savannah Regional Minister what's going on here. Okay.
Saeed Muhazu Jibril is the Savannah Regional Minister. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Many thanks for joining us on Breakfast Daily.
Thank you.
Now, you have been a busy man from last year, 2021. I mean, you've been in the news, the ban on rosewood, the ban on commercial production of charcoal and all that. We even heard and saw the Bupe chief closing down the charcoal market in the region. Why are we still having challenges with our shea trees being felled indiscriminately for charcoal production?
Thank you very much, your cherished listeners, for this opportunity. Yeah, the felling of shea trees in the Savannah region has just recently started, barely 3 months back. It all came as a result of the traditional rulers who came to my office to ask for just a month to be able to pick out what the charcoal that has been left in the bush. So we agreed on a set date that was 23rd of April. That the ban was supposed to be lifted just for 30 days for these market women and maybe others who have interest in charcoal to be able to pick the charcoal from the bush to wherever they need them.
Right.
So after we have given them the opportunity to do this, to our surprise, we have pictures, videos of this, the felling of the shea trees across the region. So it came as a surprise to us that because that was not the agreement between the RECSEC and the traditional rulers.
But sorry, not to cut you.
Quickly jump in.
Not to cut you, sir, but when this agreement was made, did the RECSEC appoint or, give some special team to go with these women or to monitor the activities of these women to ensure that really they operate within the 30-day moratorium and then it doesn't go beyond that? Because from what you have just told us, the issue has been going on for some 3 months in this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, what really happened was that RECSEC took a decision with the Gunja Traditional Council, for that matter, Savannah Regional House of Chiefs, that we wanted to have a task force in place to monitor the collection of this charcoal that has been left in the bush. But they quickly told us that, they have had team in place to deal with those issues. And in order not to have to be at loggerheads with traditional rulers, we gave them the green light to let their team do this. But eventually, when we realized that shea trees were being felled, we have to call an emergency meeting with the 5 eminent chiefs of the Savannah Regional House of Chiefs to lay to bear our frustration in this charcoal business.
Right.
And that what they are resulting into is to impoverishing our rural folks, particularly, excuse me to use a better word, our people who are living in the hinterland, because this is what the old ladies, the ladies the women who don't have anything to feed on. And so we have to quickly call them, and we took a decision that from now going, if we find anybody felling a single shea tree, we're going to prosecute them. And so we have to call a Gonja Traditional Council meeting, for that matter, Savannah Regional House of Chiefs, to tell them our stand on the menace. It is not only for charcoal, but can you imagine somebody trying to put up a cashew farm on felling 89 shea trees on just 4 acres of land?
Wow.
You know,
what has happened to this person?
It's so pathetic.
What has happened to this person?
Yes, so what we did was that, you know, we have to do that with the various traditional areas, because that is always done with permission from the chief, the paramount chief for that particular traditional area. So when we contacted this particular paramount chief, he said he was unaware of such a thing. So we quickly asked that the police should arrest the person. So as we speak, he has been arrested and prosecution is taking place at the Bole District Court.
Well, if the traditional council feels they to an extent they need to depend on charcoal production for survival, and then the government also understands the need to protect our shea trees, what plan or program are we fashioning out to ensure a win-win situation for both parties?
Thank you very much. So what we have discussed at the various meetings that we have and various stakeholders, NGOs, CBOs, and the traditional rulers, we have agreed that areas that have been completely devastated as a result of this charcoal burning, the chiefs are going to be responsible for reforestation of those places. And they have to use the proceeds that they got from the charcoal to make sure that they buy seedlings for the farmers and the charcoal burners to make sure that they've replaced the trees that have been felled. But for now, the decision taken is that there's complete ban on charcoal burning in the Savannah region. So that is the decision, because the only reason they got into the bush was to make sure that they collect what they had in the bush to go and sell. But we realized that they took advantage of it and we're now burning new ones. So what we are going to do next week, that is on the 19th, that we have a meeting with the Savannah Regional House of Chiefs again, is to make sure that we re-emphasize and reinforce to make sure that we are making sure that the charcoal burning is completely eradicated. You see, the difficulty the Savannah region is facing is that other regional coordinating councils around the Savannah region are unable to stop charcoal burning. So if we took that decision, you have Upper West, you have Northern region, you have Northeast, this is going on.
Right.
So they don't see why we in the Savannah region are saying they shouldn't burn charcoal. And this is why the chiefs are making their argument from, since they also get something out of it.
So you think that it should be a national policy on it?
If we are able to make sure that all the surrounding regions are able to enforce the ban on charcoal burning, I think it is something that would have been easier for us in the Savannah region, because the Savannah ecological zone is right seated in the Savannah region, and this is completely being depleted. And that is the fear that some of us are entertaining. At the end of the day, in the next 20, 30 years, the devastation of the forest and our environment is going to be dire.
All right. Honorable, thank you very much. Honorable Said Muhazu Jibril, as
Thank you
the
so much.
Savannah Regional Minister. And we wish you well. Grateful for your time speaking to us there on, of course, sustainable share production and, of course, the challenge with people felling the share trees for charcoal production. It's I mean, it's a quagmire. And I think I understand how he ended it. If all the other regions around the Savannah region are still burning and producing charcoal, why do you want to stop us in the Savannah region from burning charcoal?
That's what they are saying.
Exactly.
But then also it makes you wonder what kind of orientation is going on for the people involved in this value chain. Because if you understand that, okay, I'm going to cut down these trees because I want charcoal now, but in the next 5 or 10 years, there may not be any trees left. That will change the way you operate. And you probably buy into Jeremiah's suggestion of we need to identify a space demarcated for share tree growth, for charcoal production specifically, because that's sustainable for long-term charcoal production, and not kill the trees in the wild and then end up in a few years now our source of livelihood.
All of us of everything.
You know, so I wonder what I know, yes, people need to eat now, but people need to eat in 5 years as well, and 10 and 20, and their descendants do too. The long-term vision just doesn't seem to be there.
That's what's absent, and perhaps a national policy. I was going to ask him about monitoring and implementation, since he says that now there's an agreement for the chiefs to go into afforestation and all that. But we know our biggest challenge in this country, implementation.
Thank you.
We have some of the finest laws, some of the finest policies,
but look what's happening.
Is what we are lacking.
We can't spend tens of millions of cedis on a tree planting exercise only for trees that have been around for how many decades to be cut down for charcoal. We can't operate like that, and it's not even environmentally sound. You know. So, all right.